POSH is. So now the recording is on.
Yeah.
So we will see what POSH is and why it is important for us to implement that. Before we start that, I would like to tell you that POSH should not be taken as an obligation. कि जस्ट बिकॉज कि ये हमारे ऊपर एक ऑब्लिगेशन है, एक हमारे ऊपर एक एक्ट थोप दिया गया है, तो हमें इसको इम्प्लीमेंट करना पड़ा. POSH should always be taken as a responsibility. ये हमारी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है कि हमारे co-workers, irrespective of religion, the gender, I would say, they should have a safe and a friendly workplace. I see somebody has raised a hand.
Directly मैंने raise किया है because slide is not moving.
No, I am yet to move
अच्छा
on.
okay, because just we will start soon. No issues. Please carry on. I just thought कि शायद ऐसा भी slide raise नहीं कर रही है, वो नहीं हो रही है.
It is
ठीक है.
actually should be taken as a responsibility, क्योंकि ये हम सबकी responsibility बनती है कि हम अपने work place को safe बनाएं और friendly बनाएं सभी के लिए, चाहे वो females हो या males. So let's start with the training session, and we will start with the POSH introduction. What exactly POSH is? Just give me a second. I think आप लोगों को कुछ ना कुछ पता भी होगा POSH के बारे में. It is not something new for you. Am I right?
Very true. We have
So
been doing this session also.
POSH is an abbreviation that we use for prevention of sexual harassment. Now, how it came? The act is known as the Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act 2013. So when I say 2013, it is self-understood, that it was it came into force in 2013. So the goal of this session would be, at the end of the course, you will understand what sexual harassment at workplace is, types of sexual harassment, what you can and should do when you are harassed, history of the law, how it started and why it came into the force. Who all know about the Bhavri Devi case of 1992? Just you can raise your hands, or you can simply give us a thumbs up if you know anything about Bhavri Devi case. No? All right, that's good. So before we had POSH Act, we had Vishakha guidelines, which actually, came into existence because of the Bhavri Devi case. And then on the foundation of the Vishakha guidelines, we have this act, which is known as Prevention of Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace. So since not many people know about Bhavri Devi case and Vishakha guidelines, we will start with the Vishakha guidelines first, so that you understand why we have this POSH training, mandatory for the workplaces now. All right, so let's talk about Vishakha guidelines. The background of the Vishakha guidelines is that the Supreme Court of India established the Vishakha guidelines in 1997 in response to the brutal gang rape of a social worker, Bhavri Devi, in Rajasthan. Now, the guidelines were a landmark judgment that provided a framework for preventing and addressing the sexual harassment of women in the workplace. Origin of the case and guidelines. Bhavri Devi was a village level social worker. We know nowadays, here we have the Anganwadi. Same way there we had Sathin with the Women Development Project. And that was an initiative of the Rajasthan state government. And that included raising awareness about health, education, social issues, and also, against the child marriage. This incident happened in 1992 as a part of her official duties. Bhavri Devi attempted to stop the child marriage of a 1-year-old girl. Imagine, 1 saal ki bachchi, in the village of Bhaderi. And in retaliation, the upper caste men from the village gang raped her in front of her husband. So it happened, when she was performing her official duties. That was her part of her job, to stop the child marriages. 1 साल की बच्ची की वहां पर शादी हो रही थी, उसने उसको रोका, एंड जिन्होंने रोका उनके अगेंस्ट भी एक्शन लिया उसने. But when this case went to the court, the trial court acquitted the accused, stating that the men from the higher caste could not have raped a lower caste woman in front of her husband. Now, this failure, this highlighted the complete failure of the justice system to protect the working women. So imagine, इतना कुछ हुआ उसके बाद वो एक जजमेंट आती है कि एक अपर कास्ट के जो मेन हैं, दे कैनॉट रेप लोअर कास्ट women in front of her husband. गोइंग देन उसके बाद एक पीआईएल फाइल होती है, जो कि नॉन गवर्नमेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन जो समय के एनजीओ से, जिसमें से एक विशाखा भी थी. विशाखा वाज एन एनजीओ. दे फाइल्ड द पीआईएल इन द सुप्रीम कोर्ट, and they argued that the gang rape of Kavi Devi was a form of sexual harassment in the workplace that violated her fundamental rights. तो उस बेसिस पे सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने जो है विशाखा गाइडलाइंस इशू करी, जिसमें डेफिनेशन ऑफ सेक्सुअल हरासमेंट उसमें प्रोवाइड किया गया. द गाइडलाइंस प्रोवाइडेड अ कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव डेफिनेशन ऑफ द सेक्सुअल हरासमेंट, इंक्लूडिंग अनवेलकम फिजिकल कॉन्टैक्ट, demand for sexual favor, sexually colored remarks. It also defined the employer's responsibility. The employers could be anybody, an NGO, whosoever is the employer. They established that the employers were legally responsible for preventing and punishing the sexual harassment in the workplace. They also talked about the Internal Complaints Committee that we now call IC. The guidelines mandated the creation of an internal complaint committee in every workplace with 10 or more employees to investigate the complaints. The ICC was required to be headed by a woman, with at least half of its, the members being women, and include an external member from an NGO. Now, they also, understood that, okay, there was one person required from outside the organization for the fair investigation of the cases when they receive any. International aspiration, the Supreme Court notably referenced the Convention of the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination against women to formulate these guidelines, marking a significant reliance on the international human rights law. Impact and legacy of the Vishaka guidelines. The foundation for the POSH, as I said, the Vishaka guidelines were a groundbreaking step for women's rights and served as a crucial precursor to the landmark Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace, that is Prevention, Prohibition, and Redressal Act 2013. A step forward, the guidelines were a pioneering effort to secure the dignity and safety of the women in the workplace and advocate for their right to work and the safe environment. Then become the preventive measures. See, I'm actually reading the slides right now. We will discuss more about it because we have just 1 hour of time to complete this session. So you can always follow me on LinkedIn and Instagram to know more about it. But right now we will simply read it and then we will discuss it. The preventive measures. The guidelines required employers to take the steps to prevent the sexual harassment, such as prohibiting such behavior and creating awareness of the issue. Interim relief. They provided for interim relief for the victim during the investigation, such as a transfer or leave from work. It usually we see people who make a complaint of POSH, sexual harassment at workplace. They find uncomfortable to come to the office while the investigation is going on. So उसको देखते हुए एक interim relief भी दिया गया victims को. In case they have multiple workplaces, they can be transferred to a different workplace, or they can even the respondent जिसके अगेंस्ट कंप्लेंट की गई है उसको भी हम दूसरी वर्क प्लेस पे जब तक इन्वेस्टिगेशन हो रही है ट्रांसफर कर सकते हैं. और वी कैन ऑल्सो the victim is also entitled to the leave from the work. Penalty, the guidelines stated that if a complaint was found to be true, the action should be taken against the accused in accordance with the law. So that was the Vishaka guidelines. Now you know how Vishaka guidelines came into force, who was Bhavri Devi and what had happened to her. Now we can probably, if we read or we go through the POSH Act, you would know it better. Usually, जब भी कोई awareness session होते हैं तो people, show you the education clips during or, after these sessions. But I think, Before we start with the slides and we actually read the POSH Act, let's go through a small clip to understand what exactly the sexual harassment is. Because अभी तो हम देखते हैं कि we always see and people have this view कि सारी complaints तो ऐसी होती झूठी होती है, but we do not understand. See, I understand there could be false accusations as well, but पूरा भी हम देखेंगे तो वो भी सिर्फ 20% होंगी, but 80% of women are still subject to the sexual harassment in a real time. And this happens the moment they step out of their home to their workplace, they start experiencing it. We may not realize it, but let's see the video to understand. The audio on, you can hear the music.
रविवार की सुबह या मंगलवार या बुधवार, रोज की कहानी है। मैं अपना काम कर रही थी।
अरे बीवी, एक गिलास पानी तो पीने दे।
और तभी साहब को प्यास लगी। और भाई, पानी पीने का असली मजा तो शेल्फ में ऊपर रखे हुए ग्लास से ही आता है। वहां लखनऊ में आज की दोपहर थोड़ी अलग है।
क्या बात है डिम्पल जी, आजकल आपके गाल जो है ना वो टमाटर की तरह लाल लाल हो गए हैं। वैसे पिंक ड्रेस में आपको देखकर ना दिल खुश हो गया है। आप एक काम करो, आप हमारे दिल का ख्याल रखो, हम आपकी प्रमोशन का ख्याल रख लेंगे।
अजी, नौकरी इनकी बदौलत है तो इतना बोलने का हक तो बनता है ना। और ये देखिए, आज की शाम इस छोटे से गांव में कितनी खूबसूरत है इन जनाब के लिए।
अरे बहुत मेहनत करती है तू, घर से काम बंद कर दूंगा तेरा, और तुमसे ठेकेदार क्या भी काम नहीं मिलेगा।
पूरा दिन इतनी लगन से मेहनत करती हूँ तो लाला जी सराहना तो करेंगे ही ना। सोच रहे होंगे ना ये सब मैं आपको क्यों बता रही हूँ। क्योंकि कभी किसी को बताने की हिम्मत नहीं होती। अगर हिम्मत करके बता भी दूं तो कोई विश्वास नहीं करता, और अगर कोई विश्वास कर भी ले तो साथ नहीं देता।
एक सुरक्षित कार्यस्थल हर महिला का अधिकार है और हम सबकी जिम्मेदारी। इन्हें हिम्मत दें, इन पर विश्वास करें, इनका साथ दें।
So that was the video, that talks about how, women are subject to the sexual harassment. And, it may sound awkward to you, but yes, I, to be honest, have worked with the Delhi Commission for Women as well for more than 8.5 years. And I really get emotional while talking about this subject because we believe it or not, fact that many women, I would say every woman who is stepping out of their home for work is subject to the sexual harassment. And the reason I get emotional because I also have a sister, elder sister who is a working woman, and I understand, that pain. I understand. And she has two daughters. Tomorrow they will also, go out to work, and they would also, face the same uh, humiliation or the harassment. And I think for why we have this awareness session, not just for women, but for men as well. Although it is not, I would say, for this act is exclusively for the women, but being the men, it is our responsibility to give that safe space to the women at the workplace. Now let's talk about the act without getting carried away. So here, so we were talking about the history of the law, and since not many people were aware of the Bhavri Devi case, so we talked about it. Now, applicability of this act, it is applicable to entire India. Every organization, irrespective of its size, whether it has female employees or not, they have to comply with the POSH laws. Now, why we are saying that, you would get to know in the other slides that why, even if they do not have the female employees, and they still should be POSH compliant, because जो ये पॉश एक्ट है सिर्फ वर्किंग जो आपके एम्प्लॉयज है उन्हीं के लिए नहीं, आपके ऑफिस में जो विजिटर्स है उनके लिए भी एप्लीकेबल है। जब आप अपने काम के लिए किसी और वर्क प्लेस पे जाते हैं वहां पर भी ये एप्लीकेबल है। दैट्स व्हाई इट इज मैंडेटरी फॉर ऑल द एम्प्लॉयज टू अटेंड दिस ट्रेनिंग सेशन, and all the employers, all the companies, irrespective whether they have the female employees or not, they must be POSH compliant. Now, workplaces are divided into two categories. One is the organized sector, and the other one is the unorganized sector. Organized sector having 10 employees or more. Organized sector could be your home as well. आपके घर पे housemaid आती है, और भी अपने जो है कुक आते हैं, तो ये अनऑर्गेनाइज सेक्टर है, जो कि आपका घर भी एक वर्क प्लेस किसी के लिए है। सो लाइक लेबर है जो कि कंस्ट्रक्शन साइट पे काम करती है, सो दिस कम्स इन द अनऑर्गेनाइज्ड सेक्टर। So employers in the organized sector need to constitute the internal committee. We call it ICC or IC to facilitate the aggrieved, women how to register complaints. So, do you guys know about the IC in your office? Raise your hands or give me a thumbs up if you know about the IC. You know who all are the IC members. I just see two thumbs up. One is from Prashant. Oh, very good. So I see a lot of thumbs up now, and that actually shows that okay, we are POSH compliant. So employers falling under unorganized sector, aggrieved women to approach the local committee that is constituted by the district officer at district level for registering the complaints. तो जो unorganized sector में है, they can also file a complaint, but for that they do not have the internal complaint committee. They have the local committee that is constituted by the district officer, जो कि district level पे होती है. Although we see, the compliance is not that much right now, but I'm sure, slowly and gradually we'll get to the point where everybody would be aware of their, the POSH Act and also the local committee.
सर वन डाउट तेलंगाना में यहाँ लोकल कमिटी कौन है सर?
See, as I said, you have to look for the district collector's office. वहाँ पर जो district आपके office होते हैं वहाँ पर आपको पता करना पड़ेगा. Like हमारे दिल्ली में जैसे there are 8 districts, so हर district का अपना है, तो they are the one who are responsible for the local committee.
बेसिकली जो डिस्ट्रिक्ट ऑफिसर होता है ना, उसके पास में ये एलसी का रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी होता है। जो डीओ होता है उसके पास में रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी होता है।
Few important definitions: sexual harassment, employer, workplace, extended workplace, aggrieved person, forms of sexual harassment that we will talk about in the next slides. Sexual harassment. This is the section 2N. Sexual harassment includes any one or more of the following unwelcome acts or behavior, whether directly or by implication, namely physical contact and advances, demand or request for sexual favors, making sexually colored remarks, showing pornography, any other unwelcome physical, verbal or non-verbal conduct of the sexual nature. अभी जो हमने वीडियो देखी आपने उसमें देखा होगा फिजिकल कॉन्टैक्ट एंड एडवांसेस थे उसमें डिमांड और रिक्वेस्ट फॉर सेक्सुअल फेवर आपने देखा था. Now we talk about the verbal. What is the verbal, harassment? Referring to someone as hunk, babe, sexy, mal, item, whistling at someone and making sexual comments, commenting on someone's specific body parts, telling sexual jokes or stories causing or likely to cause awkwardness or embarrassment, asking about sexual fantasies, preference, and history, making kissing sounds, howling, or smacking lips, singing embarrassing film songs. You must have seen कुछ लोग होते हैं जैसे कि कोई पास कर रहा होता है तो उल्टे सीधे गाने लग जाते हैं जैसे we have given few examples. Sexy 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 मुझे लोग बोले particular. I think somebody is on unmute. Can we please mute that person? Telling lies or spreading rumors about a person's personal sex life, innuendos and tones. You are just a woman. We need a man for this job role. Using gender biased inserts, making babies is all you women are good at doing, and repeatedly asking out a person who is not interested, or making gender insensitive comments. These all, are the examples. These all come under the verbal harassment. Non-verbal, looking at a person up and down or staring, जिसको हम हिंदी में ताड़ना बोलते हैं, किसी को ताड़ना, घूरना, blocking a person's path or following a person, giving personal expensive gifts, displaying sexually suggestive gifts, making sexual gestures with hands or through body movements, making facial expressions such as winking, throwing kisses, or licking lips, stalking, that includes cyber stalking as well, displaying sexiest or other offensive pictures, posters, MMS, SMS, WhatsApp, or emails. These are the non-verbal. Now, although we talked about it is when most of the time people ask me whether POSH Act is gender neutral or not. So it is not. Let's be very clear with the fact that POSH is to safeguard the rights of the women. However, the company's own policies, POSH Act को जो companies की internal policies होती है उसको और strong बना सकती है. If your company policies are gender neutral, then let's look at the example. Woman undressing in front of a man and he gets uncomfortable. Woman touching a man's sex organ, woman seducing a man to have sex against his will, engaging in sex that the man did not want, woman commenting on a man's sex organ, a man being tempted or tricked into sex by a woman. Although POSH is not applicable, the act is not applicable. However, the company's policies, if they are gender neutral, can also address the complaint by the men. Key elements of workplace sexual harassment: unwelcome, sexual in nature, subjective. It says impact matters and not the intent. Very important, this one line actually explains the entire, the complaint system that we have at the workplace. कई बार होता है कि हम इतने टाइम से साथ में काम कर रहे हैं, मजाक कर लेते हैं, कुछ कमेंट कर देते हैं, फिर हमें लगता है यार व्हेन द कंप्लेंट इज मेड, नो आई डिड नॉट मीन दैट, मेरे कहने का वो मतलब नहीं था. So it is for all of us to understand that it is not the intent that matters. It's the impact that matters.
फ्लैट और उसका
I would request, let me finish the slide first, and if you have any question, we can, take it later. So let's be on mute right now. So when I say, it's the intent that matters, not the impact. So we have to be very careful. See, ऐसा होता है कि हमारे ऑफिस में जो हम काम करते हैं इतने टाइम से हमारे फ्रेंड्स बन जाते हैं, बेशक वो लड़की हो लड़का हो, आपस में इतनी अच्छी बॉन्डिंग हो जाती है, हम मजाक कर लेते हैं, कैसा भी मजाक कर लेते हैं. Like Swati and I have worked together in Delhi Commission for Women. So the kind of bond that we both share, it does not mean that she would have the same bonding with any other person in the office. So if she is the kind of person she is with me, she would be a different kind of person with somebody else. So also I have to take care of it कि मैं जिस तरीके से मजाक और जिस तरीके की बातें मैं स्वाति के साथ कर सकता हूँ, because we have a good bonding. it does not give me a license कि मैं बाकी किसी फीमेल के साथ भी उसी तरीके से बात कर सकूं। तो ये दोनों ही जगह हमें इसको जो है सोच के चलना चाहिए कि एक व्यक्ति के साथ आपकी अच्छी बॉन्डिंग है, so that does not give you a license to talk to the other person in the same manner. As I said, it's not the intent that matters, it's the impact that matters. So can I compliment someone at work? अभी पता चले कि पॉश की अवेयरनेस सेशन के बाद कोई किसी को कॉम्प्लीमेंट ही नहीं दे पा रहा। We can, but there has to be a professional way of doing it. Yes, co-workers can give compliments to their colleagues in the workplace. It is inappropriate if a leering stare or whistle accompanies it and are sexualized. Smita, you look great in this outfit. It's a compliment. However, if somebody says, Smita, you look great in this outfit, and sometimes it becomes difficult to control, then that's not a compliment, but that would be considered as a sexual remark. Another example, you need to join the office work from, because work from the office has started. Now the other person says, why my physical presence is required? Is it not sexual harassment? No, if all the employees are working from home, and if all the employees are working from office now, and if the same has been asked to the female employee, then it is their responsibility to report to the office. What is the dress code policy? I can wear whatever I want. No one can object in the office. Now, again, as I said, the company's policies make the POSH Act more strong. So it all depends on the company's policy. The dress code, at times we have seen, there's a dress code for the offices, especially when you see, when you go to the showroom to buy jewelry, you would see there are women who are wearing saris, the salespersons, and the salesmen, are wearing suits. So there's a dress code in the offices. And as an employee, as a part of the office, it is our responsibility, it is our right, it is our duty to follow the dress code if there is any. Now, who is the employer? Workplace or any local bodies, private workplace, dwelling house, as I said, head office specified, person responsible for management, supervision, control, person who employs or benefit from the employer. They all come under the employer. Workplace could be government organizations, NGOs, house, corporations, companies, nursing homes, farms, educational institutions, sports facilities, hospitals, service providers, cooperative societies. These all are the workplace. Now, the extended workplace, especially in your role, you are working in Udayan. So for the work purpose, for you may, आप बाहर जाते रहते हैं, दूसरी साइट्स पे जाते हैं, field visit होती है. So whatever responsibilities are given to you, and if you are visiting any other office as a part of your job, then that becomes your extended workplace. So any place visited by the employee arising out of during the course of employment, including transportation provided by the employer. So आप अभी किसी काम से, if you're going out of your office on the field, and you've been provided with a vehicle to go from one place to another, so that vehicle also, the cab or the taxi, becomes your extended workplace. Examples of behavior that constitute sexual harassment in the remote workplace. So, like I will talk about a few of the examples here. Demanding to keep video on in all the virtual meetings, especially after office hours. अब आपको बोला जाए कि नहीं, आपके office hours के बाद भी आप video on रखो. Taking screenshots of women or colleagues during a meeting. Employees receiving unwelcome materials content that is posted about her or him. Then inappropriate or sexist jokes, not maintaining a dress code during the video conferences, managers compelling employees to join in night suits, Zoom parties. So this example, I will just read this again, not maintaining a dress code during the video conference. We often see, the online, whenever we come for online, conferences like this, people take it for granted, and, they dress as whatever they want to, and they do not come online, they do not, switch on their video. And अभी हमने recently अपने एक देखा होगा कि एक वीडियो न्यूज़ डिबेट में जो है, I won't name that person, he was from one political party, and we could see that he wasn't wearing anything, beneath his kurta. So ये चीजें जो हैं, it also, since it was a news debate. How I don't know why they have means how they consider it, but if same thing happens, during our workplace conference or work conference like right now we are doing it, so that would be considered as under the POSH Act. Aggrieved person or woman. No woman shall be subjected to sexual harassment at workplace. Aggrieved woman, as I already said, working visiting workplace student, so domestic worker, जिसका example मैं पहले दे चुका हूँ. Your regular, temporary, ad hoc, daily wager, directly through an agent or contractor, with or without remuneration, your volunteers, your interns, whosoever is visiting you, your trainees, probationer, sub, they all, comes under the aggrieved woman. Now, यहाँ पर हमने बात करी who all comes under the aggrieved woman. So जब हम पॉश की बात करते हैं तो ऐसा नहीं है जो एम्प्लॉयज हैं सिर्फ वही सेक्सुअल हरासमेंट की फेस करते हैं. Most of the time we see that even those who are heading the organization, like if there's a female who is the head of the organization, who is the owner of the organization, they also are subject to the sexual harassment at their workplace. But they, instead of they are the more, I would say, वो ज्यादा सफर करते हैं क्योंकि वो दे लेट इट गो कि कोई बात नहीं, काम तो करवाना ही है, चलता रहता है. दे डोंट कम फॉरवर्ड और दे डोंट टेक एक्शन. उनको पता है ठीक है इस एज में चलता है. तो ये हमें हमेशा ध्यान में रखना चाहिए कि सभी जो हैं इस जो सेक्सुअल हरासमेंट को जो है फेस करते हैं, चाहे वो टॉप बॉसेस ही क्यों ना हो. सो फॉर्म्स ऑफ वर्कप्लेस सेक्सुअल हरासमेंट, क्विड प्रो quo simply means this for that, implied or explicit promise of professional uh, treatment in employment. Forms of workplace sexual harassment: hostile work environment, creating a hostile, intimidating, or offensive work environment; humiliating treatment likely to affect her health or safety. So अभी जो हमने hostile work environment और quid pro quo की बात करी कि फेवर मांगना या फिर उसको ब्लैकमेल करना कि आप ये करोगे तो आपका प्रमोशन होगा, और आपने ये नहीं करा तो मैं आपको जॉब से निकाल दूंगा, और आपने ये नहीं करा तो मैं आपका प्रमोशन रोक लूंगा, आपने ऐसा करा तो मैं वैसा कर दूंगा. दिस कम्स अंडर क्विड प्रो क्वो. होस्टाइल वर्क एनवायरनमेंट में अगर आपको आप ही के वर्क प्लेस में घुटन महसूस कराई जाए, ह्यूमिलेटिंग ट्रीटमेंट आपके साथ किया जाए, दैट कम्स अंडर होस्टाइल वर्क एनवायरनमेंट. स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ इंटरनल कमिटी. इंटरनल कमिटी जो होती है उसमें वी हैव 5 मेंबर्स टू स्टार्ट विद, जिसमें कि जो प्रिसाइडिंग ऑफिसर होता है जो कि चेयरपर्सन जिसको कहते हैं. इट हैज टू बी अ वुमन फ्रॉम द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. Women working at senior level as employee, if not available, then nominated from the other office, units, department, workplace, or the same employer. Then 2 employers from amongst employees committed to cause of women having legal knowledge, experience in social work, and 1 member from amongst the NGO associations committed to the cause of women, or a person familiar with the issue of sexual harassment. So जो IC होती है, हमारी इंटरनल कंप्लेंट कमेटी होती है, उसमें ये हमेशा ध्यान रखा जाता है कि जो 50% जो मेंबर्स हैं वो फीमेल हो, और हमने 6 IC मेंबर्स हैं हमारी कमेटी में, तो हमें इंश्योर करना है कि उसमें से 4 जो है फीमेल्स या 3 फीमेल्स. 50% हैज टू बी फीमेल्स. और जो एक्सटर्नल मेंबर है वो किसी NGO से हो सकता है, कोई लीगल बैकग्राउंड से हो सकता है, कोई सर्टिफाइड ट्रेनर हो सकता है जो कि इस फील्ड में काम कर रहा है. वो फीमेल भी हो सकती है, वो मेल भी हो सकता है. I am facing sexual harassment at work, but I do not want to give anything in writing. Can I do that? Yes, you can give informal complaint. Mind it, that informal complaint, again, as I said, would be taken as a complaint if your company policies has those guidelines when they were made. However, when it comes to the POSH Act, it is important, it is mandatory to give the complaint in writing. So let's talk about the important timeline. This is very important for you all to know, क्योंकि अवेयरनेस सेशन का जो मकसद यही होता है कि आपको पता हो कि सेक्सुअल हैरेसमेंट क्या है, इफ यू हैव बीन सब्जेक्ट टू द सेक्सुअल हैरेसमेंट, उसकी कंप्लेंट कहाँ करनी है, कैसे करनी है, और उससे आपको क्या मिलेगा. So the submission of the complaint, see, the POSH Act says that it has to be done within the 3 months of the last incident. However, it also gives rights to the IC, the complaint committee, to consider the complaint even if it is given at a later stage. However, recently आपने देखा होगा सुप्रीम कोर्ट की एक जजमेंट आई थी जिसमें उन्होंने जो है इसको टाइम बार करा है 6 months के लिए. However, अभी भी उनके जजमेंट के बाद भी आपके जो ये इंटरनल कमेटी है, जो पॉश एक्ट है और जो आपके इंटरनल पॉलिसीज हैं, आपको फिर भी वो रूम देती है कि आप लेटर स्टेज पे भी उसको कंसिडर कर सकते हैं. क्योंकि जो सुप्रीम कोर्ट की ये जजमेंट आई थी इसलिए आई थी क्योंकि जो कंप्लेनिंग थी उसकी कंप्लेंट जो है वो कंसिडर नहीं की गई थी बिकॉज इट वाज आउट ऑफ द परमिटेड टाइम. इसलिए उसने कोर्ट को अप्रोच करा और कोर्ट ने उसमें अपनी जो है ये जजमेंट दी कि इट हैज टू बी डन विद इन दिस 6 months, व्हिच इज अगेन इट इज गिविंग यू मोर 3 months एज मेंशन इन द एक्ट. नोटिस टू द रिस्पोंडेंट विद इन 7 days ऑफ रिसीविंग कॉपी ऑफ द कंप्लेंट. आप किसी के अगेंस्ट कंप्लेंट करते हैं, सो जो कंप्लेंट कमेटी है वंस दे कंसिडर इट एज अ कंप्लेंट, दे एक्चुअली गिव नोटिस टू द रिस्पोंडेंट जिसके अगेंस्ट आपने कंप्लेंट करी है विद इन 7 days ऑफ द कंप्लेंट. Completion of the inquiry, it is an obligation on the IC that they have to complete the investigation within the 90 days of the complaint received. Submission of report by IC, LC to employer or DO within 10 days of the completion of the inquiry. So if today we have completed the inquiry, then within 10 days we have to give our report to the employer. Now the employer has 60 days to implement those recommendations. आईसी ने उसमें कहा है कि देखिए ये कंप्लेंट, वी फाउंड दिस कंप्लेंट टू बी ट्रू एंड वी हैव डिसाइडेड टू टेक एक्शन अगेंस्ट द रिस्पोंडेंट सो एंड सो. सो एम्प्लॉयर को वो 60 days के अंदर वो एक्शन लेना हो. और रिस्पोंडेंट भी उसमें जो है विद इन 90 days ऑफ रिकमेंडेशन अपील कर सकता है. और फोर्स इसमें जो है, ऑल्दो एज आई सेड इट इज फॉर द वुमेन दिस पोश एक्ट, बट दिस पोश एक्ट आल्सो प्रोवाइड्स this right to the men that if there's any false accusation made against them, then they can also be, they can also write a complaint. क्योंकि false accusation जब होती है और उसमें investigation ये found होता है कि वो false accusation थी, so complainant के against भी जो IC है वो action ले सकती है. If found guilty, that is rule 9, service rules to be followed. As I mentioned, I'm putting this, I'm putting more stress on this. Service rules to be followed as for the misconduct, written apology, warning, reprimand, withholding of promotion, withholding of pay, increase, increments, counseling sessions, community service, termination from services, financial damages, additional recommendations to address the underlying factors, mental trauma, loss in career opportunity, medical expenses, incapability of such payment. तो इसमें क्या होता है कि आपको जो है आईसी का काम कॉम्प्रोमाइज करवाने का नहीं हो. आपने अगर कंप्लेंट करी है तो आईसी उसमें इन्वेस्टिगेशन करेगी, आईसी उसमें अपनी रिकमेंडेशन देगी इन्वेस्टिगेशन के बाद, और एम्प्लॉयर को उसको इम्प्लीमेंट करना पड़ेगा. जो कोर्ट्स में हम देखते हैं कि आउट ऑफ कोर्ट सेटलमेंट होता है, आईसी वो सेटलमेंट नहीं करा सकता. Draw the line, that is the own responsibility. Now, draw the line means हमारी अपनी क्या रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी बनती है, क्योंकि हमने ये देखा ये एक्ट कहता है प्रोहिबिशन, प्रिवेंशन, प्रोहिबिशन एंड रिड्रेसल. तो सबसे पहले आता है प्रिवेंशन, then how to prohibit. So what steps can employees take to avoid sexual harassment? Dealing with harasser upfront. Do not pretend it did not happen. Immediately inform the alleged harasser that the behavior is unacceptable. Demand that the harassment be stopped. Reinforce your statements with a firm tone and professional body language. तो ये हमारी भी जिम्मेवारी बनती है टू ड्रॉ द लाइन कि हम सामने वाले को बताएं, चाहे वो either it's a male or a female. We have to have a line that we should not cross. Other steps: trust your own instincts about the possible danger. Discuss it with the close sexual harassment. Just give me a second.
हाँ दिलीप, शायद वॉइस की थोड़ी प्रॉब्लम आ रही है.
Discuss it with a close friend. Or are you able to hear me?
We can hear there was a break in your voice, so I think there was a signal problem.
Yeah. Trust your own instincts about possible danger. Discuss it with a close friend or a confidant. Report sexual harassment to company's harassment to Tesla committee, that is IC. Be professional at all times. Do not feel compelled to accept behavior that makes you uncomfortable or even if others are willing to tolerate it. Be supportive of people who wish to talk about their being sexually harassed and direct them to the appropriate person and authority. This is very important for all of us to understand, especially the women, the female employees. See, हमने अक्सर देखा है और मैं ये अपने एक्सपीरियंस से कह रहा हूँ. Please do not take it personally. Don't get offended with what I'm saying. If women start taking a stand for other women, I think we can stop 80% of such cases. हमने अक्सर देखा है जब भी कोई विमेन, कोई फीमेल किसी के अगेंस्ट में कोई बात करती है, तो मेल्स को तो आप भूल जाइए, पहले एक दूसरी वुमेन ही होगी जो उसके कैरेक्टर को जो है क्वेश्चन करने लग जाएगी. So that's why I'm saying if women start taking a stand for other women, we can put a stop on 80% of such cases at the world. लड़कों का प्रमोशन होगा तो वो हार्ड वर्क कर रहे हैं. किसी लड़की का प्रमोशन होता है उसके हार्ड वर्क की वजह से, उसके स्किल सेट की वजह से, उसकी काबिलियत की वजह से. तो यू नो इट इज सैड बट ट्रू एट द सेम टाइम. दूसरी फीमेल सी कहेगी उसके कैरेक्टर पे सवाल. And this is very common, too common at the workplaces. And that also comes under sexual harassment. And that's why the POSH Act says that the sexual harassment complaints can also be against other women as well. वो कहता है, एक्ट कहता है कि एक महिला जो है दूसरी महिला के अगेंस्ट भी सेक्सुअल हैरेसमेंट एट वर्क प्लेस का केस या कंप्लेंट डाल सकती है. क्योंकि ऐसा होता है, इस वजह से ही एक्ट में इस चीज को भी जगह दी गई है. So that was the POSH Act, we have gone through, and we will simply quickly, have a look at one more video. Work from home क्योंकि आजकल बहुत
Hello, Dilip ji, can you hear us? The voice is again breaking.
तो दिलीप,
तुम तुमसे कुछ जरूरत नहीं.
Hello.
जवाब क्यों नहीं दे रही हो?
So actually, I was not well.
You're playing some video.
जॉब बचानी है ना,
Wait.
हाँ, video is not
तो
coming.
कुछ एक्स्ट्रा करना होगा। हम्म? समझ रहे हो ना मेरी बात?
Hey guys.
I will
Hi,
play this again.
hi Tanya. What are you doing? You just got done
Please
with.
play the video again.
I will
Is
play
it?
this.
Okay, thank you.
Are you able to see the screen now?
Before we end this meeting, I
You
would
can
like to
see
say
now.
one thing.
Yeah.
पेंडेमिक है, जान बचाओ और अपनी जॉब भी। और जॉब बचाने के लिए बहुत मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी। एक्स्ट्रा काम करना पड़ेगा, एक्स्ट्रा टाइम देना पड़ेगा हर दिन, नहीं तो सबकी जॉब गई समझो। डू आई मेक माई सेल्फ क्लियर? कम ऑन, लेट्स गेट बैक टू वर्क। प्राची तुम जरा रुकना, तुम यस बाय। क्या बात है प्राची, तुम मेरे मैसेजेस का जवाब क्यों नहीं दे रही हो?
So actually, I was not well.
जॉब बचानी है ना, तो कुछ एक्स्ट्रा करना होगा। समझ रहे हो ना मेरी बात?
Hey guys.
Hi Tanya. What are you doing? You just got done with the meeting.
Is it? तुमने मीटिंग में कहा ना कि एक्स्ट्रा मेहनत करनी होगी, एक्स्ट्रा काम करना होगा, तो मुझे लगा कि क्या कह रहे थे बॉस? मैम सर फिर से वो पर्सनल मैसेजेस की बात कर रहे थे। ठीक है, पढ़े मैंने तुम्हारे पर्सनल मैसेजेस। तुम्हें पता है ना जॉब किसी की भी जा सकती है।
No. You're getting this wrong.
We need to
This
talk.
is a misunderstanding.
Prachi, fine?
Yes, ma'am.
Sure?
Yes.
Don't worry. We'll take care of it. Okay? Take care of yourself.
So guys, आपने ये video must you saw this video? All right. So आपने इस वीडियो में देखा होगा कि how that girl was subject to the sexual harassment. She was receiving unwanted messages from her boss.
ये प्रेजेंटेशन नहीं आ रही, बस मतलब सिर्फ
Yeah.
जूम का स्क्रीन दिख रहा है। हाँ,
Exactly. Right now, the presentation is not.
अच्छा कोई बात नहीं। हाँ, जूम की सब ठीक है।
तो आपने उस वीडियो में देखा how there was another woman who supported the young employee, the young girl, and she was so happy about that. This is what I was talking about. That workplaces become much better and safe when women start taking stand for other women. They come in support of the other women. So एक और सिंपल सी एक छोटी सी वीडियो देखते हैं, उसके बाद हम जो है एक छोटी सी स्लाइड को गो थ्रू करेंगे बिफोर वी एंड अप और रैप अप दी।
मैं तो अपना जा रही थी चुपचाप, उन्होंने ही बात शुरू की।
बात करना भी गुनाह हो गया, कमाल है। बात भी करे तो करे क्या?
हुआ क्या, ठीक से बता। लंच टाइम हुआ तो मैं टिफिन लेकर आ रही थी, संतोष जी सामने से चलकर आए और मेरा रास्ता रोक लिया।
अब रास्ता थोड़ी बदल लेंगे क्योंकि सामने से लेडीज आ रही है। एक ही दफ्तर में काम करते हैं भाई, ये तो होगा। मैंने देखा उसके हाथ में खाने का डब्बा है तो मैंने पूछ लिया, आइए आज साथ में लंच करते हैं। बस इतना सा तो बोला।
कुछ बोला क्या? पहले बोला कि
ये रंग काफी जच रहा है आप पे।
फिर बोला
आइए साथ में लंच करते हैं।
मुझे कंफर्टेबल नहीं लग रहा था, पर मैंने उन्हें आराम से मना किया। मैं मनीषा के साथ लंच करती हूँ, शायद उनको।
अब बुरा तो लगता ही है ना, ऐसा भी क्या है, उससे 3 साल पहले से हूँ इस दफ्तर में। रिस्पेक्ट भी कोई चीज होती है यार।
रिस्पेक्ट अपनी जगह है। मैं समय पे अपना काम खत्म करती हूँ, सुबह टाइम पर आती हूँ, 1 आध घंटा एक्स्ट्रा भी रुकी हूँ मैं कई बार। और मैंने कुछ गलत थोड़ी कहा। जाने लगी तो।
आपसे कहीं ज्यादा अच्छी दिखने वाली लड़कियां काम कर चुकी है इस ऑफिस में, तो ज्यादा दिमाग मत लगाइएगा।
ये किस तरह की बात है?
बात क्या है ना, इस सर पे चढ़ जाती है। आप लेडीज समझ के हम इनको डांटते फटकारते नहीं, तो इनको लगता है ये ज्यादा टॉप में। और ऐसा कुछ तो बोला भी नहीं मैंने, मुझे लगा डर गई शायद, तो मैंने हंसकर समझाने की कोशिश की। पिताजी और मैडम लोग भी हैं ऑफिस में, हम लोग कई बार साथ में बैठ के लंच करते हैं, तो इतना सोचिएगा मत इस बारे में। इतना सा बोला तो मुंह बना लिया, घूर के निकल गई वहां से। मजाक भी नहीं कर सकते क्या?
मजाक के नाम पे कुछ भी बोलेंगे क्या? मैं अभी उनसे बात करती हूँ।
अब स्मिता, वैसे इससे पहले कभी संतोष जी के बारे में ऐसा कुछ सुना तो नहीं है? हो सकता है तुझे ही गलत लग रहा हो। मेरा मतलब, सोच ले एक बार।
सब ठीक है ना?
क्या सोच रही हो? जो हुआ वो गलत था या नहीं? गलती से था या नहीं? या हुआ भी या नहीं? सच तुम जानती हूँ, सोचो मत।
स्मिता जी, सब ठीक है ना?
ठीक तो नहीं है, लेकिन हो जाए।
तो ये यहाँ पर भी आपने देखा
दिलीप की वॉइस नहीं आ रही है आपकी, बिल्कुल वी कांट हियर यू। एंड आई थिंक वीडियो वाज आल्सो नॉट प्लेड प्रॉपर्ली,
को
तो कुछ
लगता है
प्रॉब्लम
कि
थी, कुछ नेटवर्क की प्रॉब्लम है शायद।
it's okay to behave like this. As in,
हेलो,
it's not the intent matter impact. ये females के लिए भी बहुत famous है. Can you hear me now?
योर वॉइस इज ब्रेकिंग। वी कैन hear you but during video also
Are
it
you
was
able to
not
hear me
playing
now?
well. We can hear you but video was also not playing well, so there was a lag.
Give me a second. Give me a second.
Yeah. नहीं, वो शायद कुछ
Prashant ji, can you hear me now? Can everybody hear me?
Yes, Dilip ji, we can hear you now.
Can you see me now?
Yes, we can see that Zoom
All right.
screen. Yeah.
So, without wasting any time, since we have seen this video now, and I was saying that okay, it is very important for us to draw the line. आपने उसमें देखा होगा कि मैं कभी ऐसा करता हुआ देखा है. हो सकता है कि एक के लिए जो वो एक्सेप्टेबल बिहेवियर है, हो सकता है वो दूसरे के लिए अनएक्सेप्टेबल हो. तो इसलिए जरूरी होता है that we draw the line for both the genders to have a safe environment at the workplace. So हम कुछ examples go through करते हैं quickly. POSH के examples और scenarios कर लेते हैं. One scenario is Indra was introduced to Varun during a training program, and the training program, Varun started talking, and to Indra's delight, she found that Varun was from So Varun started to Indra's delight. She found that Varun was from the training division, the department she was planning to move to. Varun asked Indra to send him her resume after the training program. Indra sent her profile to Varun and was excited to hear that he had an opening for her. Indra joined Varun's team. Varun asked Indra out for dinner a few times and she agreed willingly. Slowly, the workload increased, and once when Varun asked Indra out to dinner, she refused. Now, at this, Varun insisted that Indra go out for dinner with him, and as she owed it to him, Indra then told Varun that from then on their relationship was to be strictly professional. Varun kept calling her and sending her emails. Indra begged Varun to stop, but he didn't, and she started taking time off from work to avoid him. Now, is it true or false? Indra is not a victim of sexual harassment because her relationship with Varun was consensual. So,
दिलीप जी
true
इसको
or
थोड़ा फुल
false?
स्क्रीन कर सकते हैं क्या? बिकॉज थोड़ा
Sure.
हाँ प्लीज इसका साइज बढ़ा दो. थैंक यू.
So, guys, what do you think? Is it true or false that Indra is not a victim of sexual harassment? You can write in the message box, chat box. Right. I see we all are on the same platform and we believe that it is false because accepting an outing once does not give Varun the rights to ask Indra to go out repeatedly with him. And since Indra is avoiding work and Varun has been interfering unreasonably with the work performance, so Varun is guilty of sexual harassing Indra. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि एक बारी आपकी कोलीग आपके साथ डिनर पे या लंच पे चली गई, so it does not give you a license to ask her out every time, and you cannot force her to go out, take her out with you. Now another scenario, as she was entering the elevator in the office, Joan Dipti tapped her on her shoulders and told her tapped her on her shoulder and told her how hot she looked in her dress. This made Dipti uncomfortable and she looked at John disapprovingly. She promptly asked him to keep his hands off her and use discussion in her language. John apologized and it never happened again. Is Dipti being sexually harassed by John? Your answers, please. No. I'm happy that okay, we have taken this session very seriously and we have understood the concept. So answer is no. This is a one-time event that Dipti found offensive, and when Dipti expressed her displeasure, it never happened again. So the conduct was neither severe nor frequent, although it was certainly unprofessional and inappropriate. So this is where I talked about how to draw the line. So Deepti was quick and confident to draw the line, and it never happened again, although we take it as unprofessional and inappropriate. We will go to the last scenario. Tina is a trainee who has just finished her training and is waiting for a project. one day her manager Tom calls her to his cabin and tells her about the online assignment he is planning to assign her to. Tina is delighted at the thought. Then Tom suggests they go to his farmhouse over the weekend. When Tina refuses to comply, he threatens her that she may not be position of the project. Tom's actions constitute sexual harassment. True or false? True. So here, we talked about quid pro quo. हमने जो बोला this for that. So that's the example here. Tom's conduct is clearly sexual harassment, as non-compliance to his suggestion would result in Tina not being able to perform her job. So ऐसा हमने अक्सर देखा है कि ऑफिस में फेवर जो है मांगे जाते हैं. तो जितना एम्प्लॉयर्स की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी बनती है टू प्रिवेंट टू प्रोहिबिट, उतनी ही एम्प्लॉयज की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी भी बनती है दैट वी ड्रॉ द लाइन वेयर एवर इट इज रिक्वायर्ड. तो अभी हमने अवेयरनेस सेशन की तो हमने कर लिया है, हमने कुछ सैंपल्स भी हमने इसमें देख लिए हैं, वीडियो के थ्रू भी हमने समझने की कोशिश करी है. तो आईसी कमेटी आपके ऑफिस में होती है. There are different ways to report the sexual harassment complaint to the IC committee. One is you can write an email to them, you can give a writing complaint in writing, hand it over to them, और she box जो है गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से इनिशिएटिव लिया गया है. You can Google and you can go to she box and you can register your complaint there as well. But कई बार ऐसा होता है कि आप किसी ट्रॉमा में चले जाते हैं, you don't have that confidence, so your friends can also help you in writing the complaint. बट वॉश एक्ट कहता है कि राइटिंग में कंप्लेंट देना बहुत जरूरी. आई अंडरस्टैंड दैट वी एट टाइम्स हेजिटेट टू राइट अ कंप्लेंट बिकॉज हमें लगता है कि कई बार ऐसा होता है कि जिसके अगेंस्ट हम कंप्लेंट कर रहे हैं वो तो हमारे एम्प्लॉयर का खास है, इसीलिए जो है ये आईसी कमेटी बनाई जाती है. और जहाँ पर आपका एम्प्लॉयर इन्वॉल्व हो या आपको लगता है कि आईसी कमेटी उनके इन्फ्लुएंस में होगी, so you can also approach to local committee in such cases. However, before writing a complaint or before being subject to the sexual harassment, it is advisable, it is suggested that we become confident in setting that line at a workplace, so we can have a safe work environment while we are working. और ये रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी सिर्फ एम्प्लॉयर की नहीं है, ये सारे कोलीग्स की है to have a safe environment for the women. So that was all about the session today. I think we have taken more time than the permitted time, and I am available on LinkedIn. I'm available on Instagram. You can simply type my name, Dalip Sabharwal. You can message me to know more about it, and if you need any help, I'm always available.
Dilip ji, thank you so much. Session was just really very informative, and you are explained in detail. Thank you, because videos are seemingly and it was helpful to understand better, and you have already explained in detail. Thank you so much, and I'm sure we would again have this session with you. Please,
I'm always
you're most welcome. Thank you so much for sparing time for Udyan Care, and on behalf of Udyan Care, I'm thankful. Thank you so much, Dilip ji.
Thank you, everyone. Have a
Thank
great
you. Thank you, Swati. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. We can log off now.
Thank you, Dilip.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for being a part of it.
Yes,
Thanks.
Thank you, Prashant, for organizing this.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone, for participating here.
Thank you.
I think we all may leave now.
Yes, we can. And hope everybody has marked their attendance. Thank you, Dilip ji.
Thank
Session was good. Thank you.
Así le